Why couldn't I go here? I'll explain exactly what this is, meet the locals, and... Good morning from northern Norway. This is day 7 of the Coastal Express hurtigruten cruise. Today we've already passed through 3 towns on the Barents Sea coast. Now though, we've left the sea behind and are heading to Kirkenes on the Russian border. Later we'll begin the journey back down the Norwegian coast, taking in that unusual attraction. Well, 2 things already stand out in this town. We have trees back after a couple of days up here in the Arctic Circle, and down there a boat with a Russian flag, which you don't see too often these days in Western Europe. Time to get off the ship and take in Kirkenes's recent history and then head to the Russian border. This coach is taking some passengers to the airport at the end of their cruise. Less than 200 years old, Kirkenes has a population of around 3,500. A quick question for this video. As the crow flies, how far is Kirkenes from the Norwegian capital, Oslo?
I don't think I can work that out.
Norway and this town was occupied by Nazi Germany in World War II. Because of its strategic importance, the Soviet Union carried out more than 300 air raids here. To avoid the destruction, some of the locals came here. The bunker is seen by some now as a symbol of the town's resilience. It's also a museum for visitors like me. Remember this picture, because we'll see something similar to this in a short while. As we can see in these pictures, the destruction of this town was immense. Time for a short film, but it's cold down there, so you do get blankets to sit on and wrap yourself in.
In October, the Red Army marches into the desolated town of Kirkenes. The houses that were not bombed by the Russians were burned down by the Nazis.
Yes, it was the Soviet Union that liberated this area from Nazi Germany. We'll see a monument to the soldiers that died doing so shortly on the video. After the film, we were given 5 minutes to walk around the tunnel area and take a closer look. No, I didn't. This small monument made of iron ore is in honour of partisans killed in this area in World War II. Remember that photo? An estimated 600 Soviet soldiers died in 1944 during fighting to liberate this town from the Nazis. Their sacrifice is remembered here. With a brief look back at our ship, it's time to head to the Russian border. These posts in the town are an example of how the border is marked out by both countries. In July in the forest there are lots of mosquitoes, so the reindeer, well, they prefer to come to town to try and escape them. Who can blame them? Time to take in a view of Kirkenes from the nearby heights. It's not quite like the view I got when in Tromsø of that city. If you'd like to see what that was like, a link to a video from my time in Tromsø is on the screen now. This river, which we'll see from ground level in a couple of seconds, forms part of the border between the 2 countries further upstream. After another 15 to 20 minutes drive, we arrive at the border. Those buildings over there are the Norwegians' customs buildings. The line between the 2 pillars is something you really don't want to step across, otherwise you'll have a very firm conversation from the local Norwegian authorities. I can't think of many places in the Schengen area where you'd see a signpost in Russian. This little gift shop certainly nailed its colours to the flagpole.
The flies, the mosquitoes, yeah.
Of course, I couldn't resist. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, he's molting.
Yeah, that's
summer.
He likes the scratching to take away the fern. Scratch me in the back.
Really, that's only one thing he wants. Yeah. It's very noticeable. I'm standing in the middle of the road that goes into the border that way. There's just no traffic at the moment, really, truthfully, between Norway and Russia. As we head back to our ship and a cruise to one of the more unusual things I saw in Norway, I just want to remind you that this film is part of a series in the country. If you want to keep up to date with the latest episodes, hit subscribe to the channel now. So how much did this Kirkenes excursion cost me? Details are on the screen now. So it's goodbye to Kirkenes and goodbye to the Norwegian-Russian border. Our ship is now briefly heading north, and then we're going to start heading west and eventually south as the journey aboard the hurtigruten continues. As you've all been behaving yourselves, time for some bonus footage from the town of Vardo, which we've arrived at just behind me. We had just 55 minutes in this small town, but then over the tannoy the crew announced that there was a brief walking tour to a fort. A fort, you say? I couldn't resist. So we're on a bit of a forced march. We've just taken in the fort. Now we're heading off in this direction. Our guide from Hurtigruten, he's about 100 metres ahead of us. Not a clue what we're seeing, but it's good to get off the ship for an hour. Well, it is a bit of a magical mystery tour. We've made our way across from the boat about half a kilometre, and we're now faced with this unusual looking building. Normally I'm well prepared for what I'm about to see on my travels, but this caught me out completely. There were 3 parts to this long building. Light bulbs hanging down at different heights, the small gaps to look through the wall through, and accompanying text on plaques. It was only when we came out the other end that I saw this black square building. I quickly realised that it was made of what looked like glass and that inside there was some kind of flame. A chair with a constant flame coming out of it. Nope, I've no idea what that was all about. We had the long room with the light bulbs hanging down, the little windows that gave you scenery from around this area, and then poetry on the walls, and then that glass square with a burning chair inside. Obviously some form of art, but I really don't know what it's all about. But hopefully Michael from the future now has Googled it and will explain more. Over to you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Yes, I think I can. These buildings are dedicated to the victims of witch trials which took place in the 17th century in Norway, of which Vardø was an epicentre. Each of the 91 windows in the long building represents someone executed during the witch trials. They're accompanied by a plaque with the name of the victim, the charges against them, and the details of the trial and execution. The interior is dimly lit to create a sombre and reflective atmosphere. The burning chair symbolises the method of execution used during the witch trials. Well, thank you very much, Michael from the future. Back to Michael from the present, and we've got about 15 minutes to make the boat. But before that, we've got some really interesting artwork once again to take in. The answer to our quiz question for this video: how far is Kirkenes as the crow flies from the Norwegian capital Oslo? Well, it's 882 miles or 1,420 kilometres. That random bit of art was interesting. The next two, I think, are a bit more impressive. This was my favourite, the Codfather. I don't know about you, but for me that really brightens up a really boring industrial estate with a couple of bits of great modern art. Time for a quick shot of the seagulls and a final piece to camera. What about you? Oh. I don't know about you, but that is Seagull Central, and it's got him going as well. He catches me out every single time. I didn't swear though, did I? I tend to think the captain there was giving me the hurry up. If you'd like to see more of me racing the clock to get back to the hurtigruten ship, a link to my time in Trondheim is on the screen now.